And I think that's one of the fights that I have all the time, right? So being a pretty decent performer in the plumbing industry, they're like, oh, you're just ripping people off. There's absolutely no way. Like, I'm providing premium service. I'm providing solutions and replacement options and long-term solutions. I believe you're ripping them off. I really believe the guy that charges $289, $300 every cables it, leaves, and waits for them to back up again, possibly flooding their house, wants to keep on taking days off because their mainline sewer's clogged.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your hosts, Nate and Brian, are hanging out with you once again, and we're excited to bring Dylan Moya on our show today to talk about plumbing. Man, we are excited. This guy is a $3 million revenue producer in the trades, and he is going to be dropping some pearls of wisdom for all you plumbers out there. And if you're not a plumber and you're an HVAC tech or an electrician or outside of the trades, I'm sure he's going to be bringing some high quality content that you can translate into your own industry as well. So before we jump into the interview with our guest, we're going to do a little bit of our breakdown as we typically do, and we're going to be talking about the concept of plumbing, presentation, and just whatever it is in terms of dealing with a client in the home. But before we do that, let's look to Brian for our quote.
If I had my life to live over again, I'd be a plumber. Albert Einstein.
I don't believe that.
Hold on. Wait.
Fact checked.
Yeah.
No.
Tell him, Berto.
Fake news. Fake news.
Einstein wants to be a plumber. What's up?
Really?
Yeah. That was him.
Okay. I bet he said that while looking at a clogged toilet or something like that.
That's probably good. Yeah. He just dropped his microscope lens down a toilet or something, down a floor drain. And he's like, for crying out loud. If I could do it over, I'd be a plumber.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. I never knew that.
Yeah. So, I don't know that I'd change anything if I could, quote unquote, live my life over again. I wouldn't mind being an astrophysicist. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Not sure I have the brains for it, but it would be cool to at least say I did. Plumbing, on the other hand, can go the other way.
No comment.
Yeah, Dylan has made his bones in plumbing, and is now a plumbing presentation trainer. And by presentation trainer, I mean teaching plumbers how to get bigger tickets. So I would assume if you go to a call for a toilet that's clogged, what I like to do on every call I went to is test the water. So if your faucet's dripping, you got a 6-year-old faucet, I want to know what made it drip. I want to fix the drip, obviously, but I want to know how it got there at only 6 years old.
Fix the glitch, as they say.
Yeah, just fix the glitch. So I want to test the water. How old is the home? What's the water pressure? Are you over 70 psi, pounds per square inch? Is the pressure causing the components to wear out faster? Do you have hard water? Do you have acidic water? Do you have chlorine in the water? And see if we can get to the bottom of what caused this thing to fail a little bit earlier than it should have. Or if nothing's failed at all, is there something we can do to protect everything from failing sooner than it should?
So, Brian, what do you say to the people that are hearing you say that, and they're like, that's not my job. That's not why they called me out. They called me out because the faucet was dripping. I went there, I fixed it. Faucet's no longer dripping. My job's done.
That is a massive component of the trades that we're fortunate enough to be a part of, isn't it?
I think so.
That's probably like 70-80% of people in a home services van.
Not just people, but also clients too. I mean, I think to some degree clients are like, yeah, I called you out to do a job. That's the job I expect you to do.
I did not run into that. And I don't know if it's the way that I presented myself. But if I went to a home for any reason and didn't test the pressure and didn't test the water and didn't, I liked to flush the water heater and pull the anode rod on every single call I went to for any reason. And if I didn't do those things, I kind of had myself convinced that I was a physician who saw someone for a broken finger, and I never broke out the stethoscope and checked their heart rate or put the blood pressure cuff on, or, I have one opportunity to have my, the important functions of my body checked out, and it's when I'm at the doctor for whatever reason I'm there for. So I want to make sure I get fully checked out, right? I felt the same way as a plumber being in someone's home. Like, I'm not going to be here 3 days from now. So if there's anything that's on the verge of going or that could use some improvement or a tune-up, or there's any exciting new product that this homeowner probably doesn't know about, this is my one chance to bring it up to them and see if it's something they'd be interested in having or doing, right? And if I didn't capitalize on that opportunity, I don't know. I just felt like I did them a massive disservice. I mean, there were people who I'd say, as part of this call, I like to test the water, I like to test the pressure, I like to just make sure everything's in good shape. And there were people who would say, hey, I don't have time for all that. Can you just, get the toilet running? I'm like, sure. Here's my card. Let me know when you want to have me back out. I'll do the rest of it. I feel like I owe you one.
I think a lot of that comes, Brian, from a certain level of ignorance, right? So as tradespeople, not that I'm counting myself as a technician, but as in the trades, we do this every day. Like, you run a no heat call in the winter, like 5 times a day, maybe more. You run a broken water heater 3 times a week, whatever it is. And you just get in this rhythm. This is what you do. Like, and you know how to do 1,000 different things in the house. That client has 0 of that knowledge. In fact, they may not even know where their main shutoff valve is. They may not have a concept as to how their air conditioner or their heating system works. They may not even know what type of panel they have. Like, there's a massive level of ignorance in home ownership. You just kind of expect that things work. Some people obviously are more educated than others, but that level of ignorance, I think, goes to why there's a certain expectation, like, hey, come fix this problem, because the homeowner themselves are in tunnel vision. We talk a lot about how plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs get that tunnel vision, walk in the house, look for the problem, don't look anywhere else, fix the problem, walk back out of the house. Not a good thing. But I think in some ways, the homeowners also have tunnel vision because they're only focusing on the thing that's broken right now, right? The thing that is causing inconvenience or pain or dissatisfaction. And so the education process of being even able to tell the client, hey, there's more services that I offer here that you're not taking advantage of, I think brings a level of an awareness to even what a plumber all is capable of doing. There's a certain level of ignorance that they may not even understand. Oh, you guys do water treatment? Oh, that's weird. I thought like that was, another company, right? There's a certain level of that ignorance that I don't think people understand what all we do. And so if we don't explain or offer or discuss possible solutions for problems that they may not even have considered us to be a consultant for, everybody's underserved.
I can't tell you how many times I was in a home and I'm like, I see you have a Connecticut, whatever, water treatment system, but you've been using us for 8 years.
Or the skid of water bottles, right?
No, I mean, in
garage.
particular, the 1-year-old Connecticut system, and I can look through the history and see that they've been our client for 8 years, and I go, what made you decide not to use us for your water treatment needs? And they go, you guys do that?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. This might be my first time out because they would definitely know we do that if I'm there. But I'm like, 8 years, 5 different techs. You had no idea we did water treatment. Nope. Nobody ever mentioned it.
Yeah.
What made you put this one in? Either they sent me something and we tested the water and found out it's hard and we hated it anyway, or we had one that was 15 years old and it finally died and your guys never brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, think of it this way. Like, you go to the grocery store and you've spent years and years running to the grocery store to buy, your cereal, your eggs, and your milk. And every time that you did that, you also went to the store like 3 blocks down the road to buy bowls, right? And never once did you consider, wow, wait a minute, the grocery store also sells bowls. I could avoid this additional trip or this additional place. I really like going here. And if the grocery store doesn't publicize that they carry all these things or they stock all these products, like you may end up using multiple vendors, some of which you don't really care to use. And so as people in the trades, we want to develop that long-term, long-standing relationship with people. And if they don't understand all that we do, they may be using other providers out of sheer ignorance and missing out on the future development of the relationship that we could have with them and taking that to the next level. But Brian, I want to push you out a little bit on the earlier question that I asked. What do you say to the plumbers that also have that mindset that I'm here to fix problem A, I've now fixed problem A, it's time for me to leave?
Stop being lazy.
I fixed it. I'm not lazy. I fixed it.
Kind of mean that. Kind of. Unless you're like a lot bigger than me, then I don't mean that at all. They'll be waiting up in the parking lot for me when I get out of here.
I'll see you in the parking lot.
I don't usually when there's that small percentage of plumber, HVAC tech, electrician, whatever. You can find them often in the plumbing and HVAC and electrical Facebook groups that I'm a part of, a lot of, that are just like, I don't tell the client anything. I'm there to replace a flapper. I replace the flapper and get out. Most of the time, it's just like, outside of working at a place like this where it's highly trained upon, they just don't think of it in the same terms that I do, which is like, I'm at this family paid to have a plumber at the house, right? Of course I want to fix the faucet that I'm there for, but how often does this family have a plumber at the house?
Once every couple years, maybe more, but
that tends to be, the average is probably about once a year a plumber is in a home outside of like having a maintenance contract or something.
I can tell you it's less at my house.
Well,
I know I work for a plumbing company, but I'm
count.
saying like the amount of plumbing concerns that have existed at my house would not add up to be more than once a year.
Yeah, it's probably real close to the once a year mark. So are you as a plumber assuming that they'll be fine in all of their plumbing system for the next 11 months on average without the plumber who happens to be in their kitchen right here and right now and has plenty of time to do a half an hour walkthrough system check? Are you making the assumption that the system's good enough to just wait until the next visit? Are you okay with rolling the dice on them having a real issue they don't know about yet that's probably going to ruin their hardwood floors or something? Also, are you comfortable enough to think that they know that a tankless water heater exists and how it works and that they could actually get one at an affordable rate, where this family of 5 doesn't have to wait 45 minutes?
Yeah, poor Mr. Fifth Shower.
Poor Mr. Third Shower.
It's true.
It's a 50-gallon electric water heater or whatever, a 40-gallon, 50-gallon natural gas or propane or whatever water heater. And that's what we had when we moved into our home before we got our tankless water heater. If 2 of my kids took a shower in the morning before me, I was not getting a hot shower, or I was waiting a half hour, 45 minutes for it to heat back up. This was a major problem. I had to go to work, my wife had to go take one of the kids to school or whatever we had to do. We needed to get a shower. So you either need to have an extra half hour at least for it to heat back up, or you had to get in the shower first, causing someone else not to be able to get a hot shower. And then on top of that, the water heater is sitting in a 70-degree basement or garage or what have you, and it's set at 120, and it's cooling down all night long and then heating itself back up for no reason whatsoever. You're just pouring all that energy out into the atmosphere. And regardless of how you feel about the earth or the climate or any of that stuff, who loves waste? Like, who likes to just waste things for no reason? And you got either this gas.
We choose to waste no day here.
Yeah.
as it turns out.
You got this either gas powered water heater turning on a big flame and heating that water up all night, every night for no reason whatsoever. or you have a couple electric elements in a water heater turning on and dumping a bunch of electricity out for no reason whatsoever, reheating this water all night that you're not using. I don't know. And then you get into the water treatment side, and then you get into like checking drains and sewer lines and checking all their emergency shut off valves. And to me, it's like our clients don't really know about this stuff. They understand that they call it on-demand water heater exists. They don't know anything about it. They don't really understand that their water heater is cooling down and then heating back up for 10 hours a night, despite the fact that nobody is using hot water. They don't know this stuff, and they need to. They don't really realize that they don't have to wait to get a hot shower. They can have a tankless. And the fact that we can have a plumber go out to somebody's house to unclog their garbage disposal and never bring all these things up is a travesty to me. It's really not cool. I would like the doctor's visit to be an industry standard for plumbing, HVAC, and electrical.
Yeah, it's a good point, Brian. And I'm speaking of waste, I don't think my kids care about waste based upon the amount of lights left on, doors hanging wide open, et cetera, is at my house. But I think the average homeowner is absolutely against waste. And I'm with you on that. It's like our friend Gene Slade says, are you doing something for me or are you doing something to me, right? And the moment that we don't bring up options that could make life better is the moment that we're doing something to that client. We're preventing them from making educated decisions. It's not a forced thing. It's not a required thing. It's simply presenting options that they may not even be aware of. And I tell you what, this is one case where ignorance is not bliss, right? If I'm living in a level of pain, or if I'm dealing with a level of inconvenience that could be solved by the presentation or adaptation of a product or service in my home, isn't it fair to assume I would at least want to know about it? I don't think that's too much out of the realm of possibility for most homeowners. And that's something that is a main focus when we talk about presentation training. That and more is what we're going to be talking about with our guest today. Dylan Moya is who we are going to be putting in your passenger seat. So let's welcome him to the show now.
Welcome to the show, Dylan Moya. Great to talk to you, Dylan. I appreciate you coming on. It's good to talk to you again. Last time we talked, you were actually you weren't far from here, right? Where were you, in Jersey?
Yeah, I was in West Denport, New Jersey.
Okay.
If I pronounced it correctly. Yeah, with a Zoom Drain.
Oh, at Zoom. That's was that Ellen Rohrer founded that one?
Yes, sir. Yeah, she's creating a new franchise. I think they're one of the first franchises that she really acquired in the South Jersey area. So we went out and helped them train a little bit. Have a lot of new guys fresh into the industry, older management, but just trying to teach them the service side, how to present options, questions, what to say, what not to say, and how to present, really, realizing that it's not, like we talked about earlier about plumbing is not so much about plumbing anymore. It's a lot about customer base. So just opening their eyes to that.
You get me all excited. Something we don't talk about enough on this podcast is selling and plumbing together. You know, it's so much about HVAC these days.
Yeah, and that's what we're missing, right? We're missing. That's what my goal is. Obviously, 2022 and beyond is to really start closing this gap. HVAC has tons of them. There's great gurus, coaches, stuff like that, and speaking about it, but there's not very many plumbing specific trainers or people really talking about it.
That's for sure. And I want to get into certainly what you did to do $3 million in plumbing sales last year, which is phenomenal, just amazing numbers. Also, I want to, but before we get, and then obviously what you train and what your presentation looked like personally. But first, let's talk about where did you come from? Where are you from? How'd you get into the trade? What did your school life look like? What made you choose plumbing?
Yeah, so I chose plumbing as a second choice, right? Not many people are signing up on the list for plumbing to deal with people's waste, going in crawl spaces, getting in attics. I had a kid young. I had a kid at 17. Really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Barely graduated high school. I think my daughter was 6 months on the day I graduated high school. So I really had to grow up pretty fast, trying to figure out that. I was a bus boy at a restaurant. So I grew up in the LA area. I grew up in Torrance, California. So the LA kind of South Bay area is where I started. Then my brothers were plumbers. My brothers were already plumbing. My brothers are 11 and 12 years older than me. One of my older brothers kind of had a similar story, and he became he was a plumbing helper, shop guy, became a technician when ARS and rescue router was kind of big in our area. Then we called. Actually, realistically, my wife was the one that pushed me to do it. We have a lot of family that were plumbers by the time I was coming out and trying to figure it out, and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be a sheriff, wanted to be a police officer, but that time was hard. It was during 2009, right out of the recession, or when the recession hit. So I called every union plumbing company. I thought that's what was the way to go. I was trying to go union, but nobody was hiring. They were laughing at me, like, we're not hiring. We just laid off like 100 people. There's no way we're going to pick up an apprentice. Then my cousin got a job at a local company called Mike Diamond, kind of big in the area. They were doing an apprentice program through there. So I got pushed over there, got hired. Through that, that's when I kind of really figured out that I was going to be different in the industry, because my thought processes were different. Already coming into it, like, one, being young, I was 18, 19 years old, asking questions that the harder questions. What are we really doing here? Why are we doing it? Like, what is it? And realistically, I was doing it. I was talking a lot because I was not technically the best plumber. Nor did I want to be technically the best plumber. My brothers were already selling techs. My brothers were already plumbing salesmen. So I knew going into it that I had to learn plumbing, learn drains, and I learned it fast. And there was a different horizon out for me. And that was always the goal, to be a plumbing tech, plumbing salesman. So I kind of got the fast track through there. Then I went to another company, kind of jumped around a little bit, just like most young guys do. And then really started finding my niche, getting a couple years in. Then started becoming selling tech. Then moved all around California. I went from the South Bay to Orange County. And then I just left San Diego like 6 months ago. I've been with pretty much the same company throughout it, kind of different locations. And then now I'm in Dallas, Texas, or Prosper, Texas, right outside of Dallas. Kind of started doing this consulting thing and business training. So, quick timeline.
What moved you to Dallas?
I had 4 young kids. I was making great money in LA, but it just still wasn't enough. Like, still wasn't enough. Still was there. I was looking for a lot slower pace for my family. The state wasn't open. COVID's still pretty strict there.
Sure.
And we came out to Dallas. My daughter plays softball, so we came out to like Texas a ton, and COVID was gone. And it's really affects myself, my wife, and my 4 kids. Like, I have a 12, 9, 7, and 4. So that's 2 years out of their lives gone. They couldn't go to school. They were barely rolling into school, stuff like that. And we came to Texas, and it's just been a different life, different lifestyle. And we love it so far.
Yeah.
6 months.
It's quite a contrast from LA.
Yeah. Slower pace. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Taught in school. Right. My boys are told that they have to open the door for women or anybody, right? Hold the door open. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am is required. Like, just a different kind of life, different thought process on the way of life growing up here in the Midwest. But we love it so far.
So you said you worked for Mike Diamond Plumbing first?
Yes.
And Mike Diamond, as far as I know, like, created the, what was it, the Diamond Plan?
So Mike Diamond, was one of the first players. I didn't realize it until listening to a podcast the other day of Terry Nicholson, but Mike Diamond ran the first PSI program that was created by Jim Abrams. So, like, it was a very systematic program that we were taught coming out.
Yeah,
that
was that's a heck of a place to cut your teeth. I was in Vegas for several years, and I knew of Mike Diamond Plumbing very well. But he created like the Diamond Club membership or something, which was one of the first industry club memberships, right?
Yeah, we did I forgot the name of it, but we were selling service agreements, doing home house inspection, presenting 3 options, requiring perfection, right, on every single call, being okay that we were the most expensive people in the area by far, right? Because our service was extraordinary. Our uniforms were clean. We had white shirts, difficult to clean, but even our shirts had to be prime, like no stains. As plumbers, it's very hard, right? Crawling underneath houses, stuff like that, going underneath sinks. But they required perfection, and they want us to be the best image of a plumber that anybody could ask for, right? So that was the standard, and I think it definitely learning that in the beginning set me up for success throughout my entire career. Because not a lot of people had that like high standard going in. Even some of these smaller plumbing companies that we go to, they just don't have that high standard, and we see it all over HVAC, but in plumbing, it's just not there yet.
Yeah, even it seems like companies that used to have that standard have kind of let it go somewhat, and it's as someone who manages a electrical, plumbing, and HVAC company, it's easy to take your foot off of the gas in that area when you're focused on so many other areas, and then next thing you know, everybody has filthy shirts and looks like ZZ Top. It's it's not great for the image of the company, the professional technician, or the industry for that matter.
Absolutely, and the presentation starts from when you park the car. Like, you pull up, you park, you jump out, you're ready to go, you're clean cut, you're tucked in. Just setting yourself apart from like step one, right? Just mentally, appearance wise, you're shaved, your haircut's ready. You don't look like a slob. Like, your van's clean, your dashboard has no trash on it. Like, just being the epitome of the standard, being above the standard, because everybody else is lax, right? Everybody else is smoking cigarettes, has stuff on top front of their dash. You see it all at fly houses. Like, the thought process and the way they taught us through it was just be better than everybody else, right? And we charge more, we ask for more. We ask for more from you guys, we ask for more from our customers. We have to fill that gap, and it starts from our appearance. But
we pay more.
Yes, you pay more, and that's what comes. If you want to get paid more, you look better, right? Be somebody different.
Yeah, if you want to be among the top 10% of people paid in your industry, you're required to be that much better than most people in the industry, and that obviously starts with where you park and not getting out of the truck and having your soda cans fall all over the street, and now you're picking them up while they're looking out the window. Coming up with a filthy shirt on and stains all over, and a big beard and a nose ring and gauged ears, and
and even when it comes down to the jacket, like not having a rock band hoodie on, like having your company logo jacket on, right? I know it's cold in New Jersey. It was freezing. I was dying. My bones were cold. But I know you guys get cold and there's stuff like that. But just having the proper attire for every situation, and again, looking professional there. Just being above. I'm sure you, with running that company, the premium guys look different from the bottom guys, right? The guys, the top 10%, the top 1% that are on the top every day, they look different. They act different and they speak different from the guys that are just kind of showing up to work every day, hoping that they make some money that day.
100%. The appearance is different. The look is different. Their communication is completely different. You've got the top 10% guys know nearly every word they're going to say in that home, and the bottom 10%, as we say, is just whatever vomits out of their mouth when they walk up.
They're winging it. And it's great. Like, I guess everybody has to learn, but if you really want to be better, especially in organizations, if you really want to climb the ladder, it starts from you. I talk about a lot. It starts from your attitude, and you got to want to be there. You got to want it, right? We can't want it for you. The management team doesn't have to want it, or shouldn't want it more than you can, right? Like commission plumbing and performance-based pay and all that stuff, like that is purely your effort. It starts every day as your report card. If you don't make any money that day, I'm usually negative $20 because I go out to lunch every day. My wife pays me for it, but I never bring a lunch, right? So I'm negative money every day if I don't show up ready to go, right? Like every Friday, every day is your performance based. That's your grade. If you didn't do well and you're mad at your bank account and you're mad at yourself because you're broke, you don't have money, it's purely looking back at yourself, understanding that what effort did you put in, how high of a standard did you create for yourself.
There is a drastic difference between some techs who just, and you just know every day that tech is motivated, inspired, looking to do anything he can to, one, make as much as possible, or why leave the family at all, two, serve his clients at the highest level, to really leave a lasting impression on that person that I am your plumber for life, and three, to leave a lasting impression on the people that they work with, their teammates, their team leader, their managers, the call center representatives, versus some people who just oddly don't have that. And the one part of that I could never really understand was you have the opportunity to be on performance pay, right? So when I took a job at a company in Las Vegas, I went and interviewed at 3 places. And I remember the first place offered me more money than I'd ever seen hourly in Detroit, where I came from. But I still had 2 other, this was like 2004. There were no smartphones. So I had a map book where I just wrote these 3 addresses down when I moved there, and then wrote in a notebook to like turn left at this light and turn right at this street. And I almost just jumped on the first company and said, I wrote out these 3, so let me just go to all 3 companies. Went to the second one, and I'm pretty sure it was like $3 more an hour than I was offered at the first one, which was way more than I'd ever seen in Detroit. So I'm like, man, and I really liked the guy too. I'm like, I should just take it, I should just take it right now. But I'm like, man, if I go home and I tell my wife that I accepted this position without seeing the third one, she's going to make me go back anyway. So I really like the guy I talked to. I don't remember the company. I don't remember who the guy was, but he was like salt of the earth. Just seemed like a really good, humble, honest, a plumber's plumber like I was at the time. And I said, I want to come here, but I have to go check out this other one. And that was Yes Plumbing in Las Vegas that I had to go check out. And that manager or whatever he was said, hey, have fun. They're just going to teach you how to rip off old ladies. I said, that's what they do? He said, that's all they do. And I said, how do they even market to get all old ladies as clients? That's amazing. First off, by itself. I said, wow. So, but he said, whatever, you're a perceptive guy. I think you'll figure that out pretty quickly. And I said, well, I will probably be right back, but I definitely want to, fulfill my list here and what I told my wife I was doing. So, I spent every dollar we had to move to Las Vegas. We got pregnant in Detroit and didn't want to raise our child there. My in-laws lived in Las Vegas, and my father-in-law used to just go see plumbing trucks at gas stations, and he would just like knock on their window, hey, how much did you make last year? This is the guy he is. So he would knock on the window, ask him how much they made, and then he'd call my wife, his daughter, and say, hey, plumbers make, 50, 60, 70,000 a year here. Well, my last year in Detroit, I made 32. So I'm like, we could double our income. Cost of living's a little bit higher, but not that much higher. So we moved out there, spent everything. It's like a 35-hour drive. So, with a pregnant wife, that's a 3-day drive, with 2 hotel stays and food the whole time and gas. And we got there broke to the point where I had to borrow gas money from my father-in-law to drive around and see these 3 companies. So I said, I have to fulfill, my list here and check out the third one. Well, the third one was Yes Plumbing, and Lance Fernandez, who was their GM, ended up being one of my mentors. He came and saw me in the front lobby, and he offered me, I want to say it was $5 less an hour than the last company. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm out. So it was good to meet you. And I don't remember exactly how it went, but I know I was kind of walking out the door and he said, hey, before you go, I said, what's up? And I turned around. They had some kind of weird commissionable unit hours or something like that they paid. And he said something along the lines of, give me 20 minutes to talk about what we do here. And one of two things will happen. You'll either come and work for me for this much less per hour, or I'll send you on your way and buy you lunch. And I'm like, man, I could go for a good lunch. I don't have any cash. heading back to the in-laws.
Funds are running low.
Oh yeah. Funds are pretty dry. We're staying at the in-laws until we can afford a place. I'm like, and I hate like eating their food when I can't really contribute yet. So I'm like, cool. And I don't know, probably like 8 minutes later, I'm signing up to come work for him, because it really wasn't an hourly at all, but it was like he's selling me on being a professional selling technician. And, I'm third generation plumber, like uncles and, their dads and stuff like that were plumbers. And so I don't want to hear about being a salesman. I'm a plumber.
Of
But
course.
within a matter of a few minutes, he completely walked me through that and explained the difference to me between a tech and a selling tech, and then a selling tech and a professional selling tech, and the difference between somebody giving a daytime talk show TV commercial about their product and a Super Bowl level commercial about their product, and how that difference, and not, ripping off old ladies, is how I could make all the money I wanted to make for my family without having to work 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, or rip off old ladies.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the fights that I have all the time, right? So being a pretty decent performer in the plumbing industry, they're like, oh, you're just ripping people off. Like, and it's not, there's absolutely no way. Like, I'm providing premium service. I'm providing solutions and replacement options and long-term solutions. I believe you're ripping them off. I really believe the guy that charges $289, $300 every cables it, leaves, and it waits for them to back up again, possibly flooding their house or not replacing their water heater or just doing a thermocouple. Time is money nowadays, right? Who wants to keep on having a water heater issue? Who wants to keep on taking days off because their mainline sewer's clogged? Like, let's make sure even if they don't choose, at least we're going to provide a service, give them all their upfront options, and let them pick what they want to do. If they're going to live in this house for 7 years, 2 years, 1 year, or the rest of their lives, like, especially if they're going to live there for 30 plus years, they just bought it, they take out a 30-year loan, they're not planning to move. Like, let's fix it once and for all. Let's be proactive versus reactive on this. Make sure we're done. And if anything happens, I'm providing you warranty solutions. I'll come out at no charge for the next 10 years and clear that main line if it was a stoppage and it was my fault, right? If it was an installation failure or something that I did, I own it, right?
I love that you said proactive versus reactive there, as we as a team here are working through the 7 habits of highly effective people. And that's a great thing to say to a homeowner, which is, especially when you're talking about a sewer line. Your sewer line, the thing that carries the worst thing that happens in this home, it takes it out and dumps it out under the street and takes it out to the city to get cleaned. Or you can not take care of this and risk in another couple months having that stuff back on the floor in the bathroom, coming up in your bathtub where you bathe your kids. You're talking about the sewer line and you want to be reactive? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, my explanation is that we've already been reactive. I'm already here while it's clogged, right? We're already at a reactive state about this. And you tell me, obviously we're asking a question. You've had this multiple times. The plumber just comes out and cables it. He doesn't camera it, right? And he thinks I'm a ripoff because I camera and I take a look at it and I give you solutions. I don't understand, right? Like, it's an ongoing fight, and I think the aspect of it is just that there's a lot of people doing it wrong and they think it's okay, right? And that's just how they were taught for the last 30 years. But and we're hopefully bringing
the biggest wrong, in my opinion, is as a consumer, And I've used this analogy before where, let's say I dropped my phone and I got a crack across the screen, and I go into the Apple store and I set it on the counter, and someone comes up to the counter and looks at it and says, we'll replace this screen for you in an hour. It'll be $150. And I say, let me think about it for a second. And I go walking around outside. I come back in. That person was nowhere to be found. So I find someone else and I set it on the counter. And the next person looks at it and says, you need a new phone. Here are the options we have for new phones. And I say, man, time out. Somebody did me a disservice here. And obviously, I mean, the obvious answer is the replace the phone person did me a disservice. But in reality, for me, at least as a consumer, both of those people did me a disservice. Because if they took the time to look that I'm holding an iPhone 11 that's 16 months old, and I work off of my phone. I'm on my phone about 80% of the time I'm working, dealing with technicians. And they say, another 4 or 5 months, with the updates, this thing's going to start slowing way down. The battery's going to start wearing out really fast. I have no idea what bells and gadgets and whistles I'm missing as a result of having an 11 when they're about to release the 14, A truly professional salesperson would have said, yes, we can replace that screen for you. Going to be $150, probably take us about an hour. Or since that phone is that old anyway, and you told me you work off of it for a living, we could take that $150 that you're going to spend anyway on a phone that you're going to be replacing soon anyway, and we can put it into this mid-level, mid-grade iPhone 13. Or we could put it into this 14 Pro whatever with all the bells and whistles that can make you fly or whatever they do. And then really have that Super Bowl level commercial for that 14. I'm the type of person who would probably go with the newest one with all the cool features and technology. Maybe you're not. Maybe you would go with the mid-grade. Maybe you're someone who right now can only afford the screen fix, but at least you got all your options that you could do either one of these three things. For me, if you're truly a professional, you as a professional technician, salesperson, whatever, let me as a consumer know I have multiple options. Here is what comes with each option, and then back up and say, which one do you like? And if it's none of them, then hey, thank you. Appreciate your time. Have a great day. If you change your mind, give me a call. And then, obviously the next day you follow up.
Yeah. We're here for you at any time. I'm just here to help you. That's how I talk when I provide option prioritization. That's how I teach it. Like, any option, be happy that they pick, but it's not your choice. It's not your money. It's not your investment. I don't care if it's $5 or $500,000. Let them process it. Let them decide, right? So that's why, again, when we talk to the analogies, right? There's Chevy Tahoes, there's GMC Yukons, and then there's the Cadillac Escalades. They're the same body, right? They look almost exactly the same. But the Escalade has a little thing that's Escalade logo, and it's a superior. They feel the superior product. There's little changes, right? But you can fit the same amount of people in the Tahoe that you can in the Escalade, right? And they have the premium, they have the mid-range, and they have the economy, right? Options. Just let people pick what they want, and just be happy with what they pick. Because again, it's not your money. You don't know what financial state they are. You don't know what they're doing with the house. And it's not your house. It's not your large investment. That's generally the houses are generally the largest investment they're ever going to own. So let them delegate and work through the thought processes of what they want to do with it.
Yeah. So let's dive into maybe not. I don't know about you. I'm going to go ahead and make an assumption here because I know what I did a lot of in my plumbing truck was running a lot of plumbing maintenance calls. I'm guessing that's the same for you?
No, I did a lot of sewers. I listened to your Riches to Niches.
Oh, Paul Francis.
Yeah, I listened to him. I was a sewer guy. I was a sewer guy, and I love sewers. I find them so easy. They call you for an escalated problem. The problem's already there, right? The urgency's already there. You just got to help them guide through it, right?
Okay, so
That's
that's even better for what I wanted to talk about, because I saw you had made a post that you sold a lot of water treatment, and on a maintenance call, to me, water treatment is super easy, right? Because there's no transition. You're there for the whole home, so you're checking everything anyway. How do you, as a drain tech, transition to allow me to test your water?
So I did it in the sense of so I did run a lot of plumbing as well. I did both, right? So when I sold a lot, it was just relevant. When I would go to a pinhole leak, if I did a water heater flush, I would be in the house building value. So I'd pull the aerator, I'd get a white rag or get a paper towel. I'd pull all the aerators, take them out, turn them out, knock them on the paper towel or the rag, right? And I'd go to every single aerator, and I would show them all the calcium deposits, show them all the buildup that's in their water, right? And then I use a third-party app, show them the buildup and all that stuff. And I use a third-party app. I think it's ewg.org. Don't quote me on that one, but I know it's out there. It'll tell you everything that's in your tap water, right? So I was just in Longview, Texas a couple weeks ago, and we found obviously there's chloramine, chloramine, the basics, but there was like chloroform and arsenigens, like toxic levels, like 110 times, or I think the one was like 1,400 times the recommended rate, right? It was just simple. It was something I could just pull up on the phone, right? So not only was there chloramine, chloramine, acid, and all this stuff in the water, it's easier while you're piping. Let's be proactive and correct. You've been living like this forever, but this is what's eating away your copper piping. This is what's causing damages. If you don't do a full entire repipe, at least let's put some safety nets on it to prolong it for a little bit.
So that EWG, that was the Environmental Working Group.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tap, and I think you can put your zip code in and click on the water quality. I think they'll put your zip code in. You can put the municipal water place that you get your water from, or you pay your bill to, or the customer pays their bill to. And it'll show you the 9, 10, 15 concern areas in the water, right? Very rarely have I ever seen that there's none. There have been like limited 5, but I've seen up to like in LA County, I've seen like up to 27 things that they're putting in the water, right? Like, and it tells you, it just lays it out for you. This is the percent higher than the average rate. This is 10 times, 15 times, 13 times. Like, and Mrs. Jones, again, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. But at least I'm educating you through the process.
Okay, so I just went on the website, punched in the zip code where I'm sitting now. Contaminants detected, 11. 11 contaminants exceed health guidelines. Total contaminants
Correct.
are 23. That's so that means 12 of those are not over guidelines. But I mean, how many contaminants are enough?
Yeah, right. As long if it's just chloroform in your water, that's fine, right? Just showering chloroform.
Oh, I love this EWG thing. I have not used this before. So it's the ewg.org, and you click through maybe 2 screens, and then you can just type in a zip code, and it fills out. What would this be, like the latest report by the EPA or something like that?
Yeah, I believe so. It's an updated thing where they test the water, obviously. And it's a third party, right? Don't believe me, believe the website, right? I'm sure in Vegas, the water's horrible.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You can smell it. When you're in the hotels, you can smell it, the chloramine and the chloramine coming out of the showers.
Yeah, it was an easy place to move a carbon filtration system, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it's just being proactive on this, right? Clean water, calcium deposits, calcium, magnesium deposits, and all that in hard water eats away copper, right? It eats away, it damages it, causes hard water. Let's put a descaling device. Let's put a whole house carbon filtration. Not only is it going to help your body and your skin, it's going to help your plumbing system. It's going to help your fixtures. It's going to help your water heater that we're replacing, right? Especially tankless water. If you read the fine print of tankless water heaters, they require descale systems or whole house water filtration. So we're doing the disjustice, so we're not offering it.
And that goes for HVAC companies too. You're at least in like high efficiency boilers and stuff like that. You're required to have softeners over a certain grains per gallon hardness. Some of them require some type of descaling as well as some type of chemical removal systems. But you should really never have a tankless water heater, especially unless you have tested that water before you put it on.
Of course.
But
starts failing, right?
Why would you ever be in a person's home and not test their water as a plumber? Is there any reason?
Absolutely not. It's such an easy. You only do it because it's easier not to. And it's not even easier not to. You're just trying not to follow a process. You're winging the call.
Yeah, and that's kind of a ripoff. Kind of ripping that customer off.
Right.
So how did you and I know as a newer technician, either new to the trade or new to doing this kind of thing where you're really serving the customer at this level, how would you or did you get the client to the point where they're ready to let you test their water? Were you I'm going to test the water, would you mind joining me person, or did you have a certain way you asked them to allow you to do it?
No, so when I was doing it, I would do it a lot of just being casual about it. I'm very casual, very like, Mr. Jones, we're doing here. Let me just run this little test real quick. I just put it on the counter, right? Curiosity is key. They have to want to be told. They have to, I'm not here to force anything down anybody's throat. I'm not here to tell you something you don't need. I'm going to put the test. I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to filter results. And obviously they're going to ask questions. So I'm going to stay right in their kitchen. I'm doing it right in their bathroom with them, right? Obviously during the diagnosing process. I used to bring the kid in with me, fill it up while they're talking about their whatever plumbing issue that we're having, or in the process, I'll take the hot water or something from the water heater, put it in there, do the test, and I'd sit on it, right? Or I'll sit it right next to my workspace. And then once the result sits for a couple of minutes, I take the reading, I write it down. And obviously, the ask, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Well, we're just going to test our water. Obviously, failure, faults, and being proactive versus reactive. We need to address the water condition and the water quality. Has anybody ever talked to you about that? Due to the fact this water heater has failed or going to fail, or your plumbing fixture has failed, you have a pinhole leak. Obviously, we're here to correct this pinhole leak. But there's always reasons behind this. Why are these things failing prematurely? Why are we not having filters? You obviously don't have a filter. Or you have in Texas, I see that people are having a lot of those salt filtration systems, the GE ones. They're just killing with the house. Oh, I just came with the house. Right. Obviously salt, we're talking about salt and metal for 20, 30 years, right? Talking about rust corrosion. It may not be the best. We have more proactive ones. We have better ones, low maintenance. How is it every month to pick up that 50-pound bag of salt and put it in there? Is it easy? Kind of just pulling out questions and getting them to really express their concerns and show their concerns and express their frustrations, but just by asking simple questions. And again, we just really want them to tell us what they want and how they want to do it, and we're just going to guide them through it.
Okay, so that's how you run the call. What is your training look like? So you have online training. We have online, on-site training, and in classroom. And then people would come to Texas for that, or is that in California?
No, we're doing it. That is going to be in California. Hopefully, we do it in Texas soon. But it's generally the people that can't run a service call or not learning to run a service call. So we're starting from the basics. I think we're going to make a two-part system of the green guys and the more elite guys that have been doing it a while, so they get into more service providing. Because I'm seeing I'm going to these on sites and we're trying to teach two different guys. A guy, the green guy that's been plumbing for 6 months, and a guy that's been plumbing for 8 years and closes very well. They don't need to learn the same thing.
Right.
But a lot of the process that we're going through is just, right now I'm teaching a lot of the basics. Some of these plumbing companies or these HVAC companies that are adding plumbing don't know what to look for. No, are not really teaching the questions that they should be asking. What to look for when they're calling a house, taking pictures, making sure that they're not doing the basics of it. So I'm doing a lot of the basic trainings for them so far. And then we go to presenting options. So I don't know if you guys are aware, I'm pretty sure you guys are, but Uncle Joe and the service MVP team. Are you guys aware of him?
Oh, of Joe. Yeah, I thought you meant you were joining Uncle Joe.
No,
Sure.
so I use
Joe Crisera.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I'm a product of his, like in the sales training wise, of the 6 options, the what should we do. So he really helped me elevate my game to another level. And we're kind of going through the process of just teaching the basics. And I on the other guys with the options, I like the 6 options. I like writing it down on paper, putting something physical between me and the customer that we can pass over and talk about.
Definitely. I love writing it down, talking while I'm writing it, not necessarily typing it into an iPad, but writing it on paper as they see me writing it as I'm saying it. Definitely never switched over from that myself.
Yeah, and I don't think so. I'm 30 years old. I'm not extremely old, but I understand the fact that when I was working at my time, everything was handwritten. We didn't have iPads then. Server signing was barely coming out, maybe not a thing, right? So it's something physical, and a lot of people want to make this selling complicated and overthink it and make it techy, but it's just the basics. The difference of it is nothing. Like from 1970, 1985 to 1990 to 2000s, like we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just going over the basics of communication and I guess you can call it the art of selling, but it's not even art. It's really just you and a person. You created value, you provided options, and now we're going to sit down and go over these options together at the table. Like we're getting them to say, like they're missing, a lot of these companies are missing the little parts, just taking it to the table, right? How many people are really focused on taking the table and not presenting on the kitchen, like on the front lawn, right? Are you really going to make an educated decision? Sit on your front lawn or standing up at your front door, like there's certainly not the place going to happen. Let's get to a common area. Let's get to a kitchen. Let's get to a counter space so we can really sit down and go over this and plant our feet and understand and ask questions. I'm the brochure. I'm the professional. So please ask me anything. I'm here to help you make this decision. Look at these over. Take a look at them. I have endless amount of time. When I go sit down and present options, there's no time. I can be there for 20 minutes. I can be there for 2, 3, 4 hours. Everybody has their own time in decision making. I'm just there to help at that point.
Okay, so when you do the on-site trainings, are you doing ride-alongs as well?
Of course, yeah. So people seeing is believing, that is right. So we do a 2-hour morning class, between an hour and 2 hours, depending on the needs, and then we get out in the field from 10 a.m. to 9, 10 a.m. to whenever. I have nowhere else to go, right? So if it's 10 p.m., we're running on call. If it's 8 p.m., we're going. We're making sure that we're providing options, we're providing solutions, trying to touch and help as many customers and clients as possible. But we're also trying to reinforce our process that we are teaching. So, and just implementing it too. Also, and we have to even make it 4 days, because the 4th day needs to be just going over with the management team of how we're going to recreate this process. I could come in and sell 30, 40, 50, 60, 100,000 in 3 days, but if they can't reinforce it and they can't mimic it, then it's all for nothing. We're just causing chaos on the install team when I leave.
So before we get to that point where you're talking to the management team about implementing processes to make sure that this happens hopefully long after you leave, and is performed by hopefully the entire team. So let's start back at, you've done your 2-hour presentation in the morning for the entire team. Somehow you and the management team has selected who you're going to ride with today.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to clog sewer line, right? Outside clean out. And
yes,
I'm going to go ahead and assume that most of the people listening to this one are plumbers. I kind of know better, but let's pretend we are. Well, let's take us through what that call looks like. You just pulled up in front of the house. We all should know where you parked, which is directly in front. Now take us through your process with that ride along.
So it starts, obviously, I like to park around the corner right before, get yourself cleaned up, get yourself ready. So when we pull up to the house, we are ready to go. We're not shuffling. We're not finding our booties. We're not finding our shoe covers. We're not putting on our jacket. Like, we are out. And once we arrive, we start work. right? So we pop out. It's not just trying to get ourselves together. We find a good parking spot, obviously. We get out, and the first 10 minutes is really just, I go in with no iPads, no tools. There's some booties and possibly a flashlight, right? We really want to get to know the customer. We want to ask some obviously questions, the basic questions of how many times it's happened, how long have you lived here, if it did happen, who took care of it, why are they here, what are we looking to do today, how are we looking to do it differently, and again, just 10 to 15 minutes of just getting to know the customer, showing them that we're real people and we're going to price this, and also we're putting some time stamps. Hey, Mr. Jones, we're going to be here between 60 to 90 minutes. Everything okay? You don't have to rush, go anywhere. I mean, putting that time stamp really on how you're going to be there, how long you're going to be there, and how long a service call should take. Obviously, the less time you're there and the faster these texts are running through it, it's not good. I come from somewhere that you only get 1 or 2 calls a day, so it's not like you're getting 8, 9, 10 calls a day. You really have to show your time because we did a lot, so we want to make sure we maximize every call. Then we start working. In the very beginning is really easy. We just start working. I don't want solutions provided at the beginning and provided for the cabling. You pretty much know what's going to be done. As tradesmen and us blue collar guys, like, people want to see us for work. So as the kitchen sink, or we're doing main line clogged. The main line's clogged. We got our machine. Mr. Jones' case is going to be X amount of price. It's going to be $389, $289, whatever you guys charge. Just get a quick initial here. Obviously, most people run service site now. Quick initial here, get the approval, and let's start work. Right now, we're building time and value through the call. We're cabling the line. If you have a camera, we're cameraing everything. We're cameraing it. We're testing water. We're getting the water to drop, and then we're running our camera, take a look at it. This line, main line sewer clogs don't clog for no reason. Either they're put too much toilet paper, there's a tree root, there's an offset, there's something like that causes this issue. So we're doing this process. We're running our camera. We're taking a look. We're involving our customers. Mr. Jones, let's take a look at this. We have a failure in the sewer system. There's a joint failed. There's roots penetrating the pipe. And as long as it's okay with you, I'm going to provide some solutions for long-term fixes for this. Is that okay? Give me 15 to 15 minutes. We'll provide some solutions. And I'm going to come into your house and we're going to sit down and talk about this. So again, we're setting expectations on that point as well. And we're going to come in, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this. And they're already committing. Okay, yeah, let's go take a look at this. And obviously we're answering questions every time. And then when we sit down, again, it's an endless amount of time, 30, 45 minutes is generally the key, but you can't go in there thinking it's going to only take 2 minutes and you can't fold after the first question. Again, everybody's thought process is different. So it could be 2, 3, 4 hours. I've been to houses for these larger projects that were there for 4 hours, 5 hours, just going over, because they ask this question, the husband, the wife have different thought processes. So the wife might be just made a decision in 5 minutes, but the husband takes an hour to make a decision. Just making sure everybody's clear on the scope of work and what needs to be completed at that point. I hope that helps.
Okay, Dylan, I like where we're at so far. So from here, I assume you move to close?
Absolutely. Then we go down to the kitchen table, and then, or wherever the common area that we sit down at, and then we provide our solution. Obviously, during that time, we've already been out 10, 20 minutes. We already set expectations. We get minor commitments of just, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to get you solutions, and every solution that we're going to provide you is going to be able to solve your problem today, help you today, right? And there's just, yes. And again, we're just getting commitments throughout the way. And when we sit down, it's very simple. We just want them to pick solutions. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I've created solutions for the issue that we have at hand. You have a failure in your system, your main line, sewer, your kitchen line, whatever. Every solution is going to be option one is a little bit more premium, all the way down to the economy, or the Band-Aid option, which is the minimal option we recommend today. Go ahead and look over the sheet. I'm here to answer any questions. Let's go from there, right? And okay. Then you just start talking. You just kind of go over the questionnaires, and obviously, again, my big thing is stop talking at that point, right?
Okay, so you let them discuss the 3 options you present.
I listen to your options. I do 6. I know.
Oh, 6 options. That's right. You said that.
Yeah, I do 2 premium, 2 mid-range, 2 economy options.
Okay. And do you find that Nate and I recently read a book called The Paradox of Choice, and this book was Barry Schwartz, I believe, is the author, and he talked about having so many choices is like stressing us out and choosing us or causing us not to choose at all. But I assume you're kind of holding their hand and walking them toward the decision that you think is right for them. And just by showing them that it is right for them, getting them toward that premium most of the time, or how's that working for you?
I believe most people funnel to the middle, right? And there may be three options, but warranties are different. A little bit of scope of work is different. So you could come up with three and then kind of alter them a little bit to make six, right? So if you got a 10-year warranty to a 6-year warranty, we're doing the whole house jetting. We've got to just take the whole house jetting out. Like, again, I've been on some planes, so I've listened to a ton of your podcast the past couple of days, and I was laughing. I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting because I did listen to the one where the options, the buying paradox, and the confusing. All valid points. It's just I feel that the six has been working for me for quite a while, so I like six.
Yeah,
more than four.
I actually talk a lot about the three options because that is how we train. But several people who work here did ride-alongs with me before I came out of a truck, and know that I tended to promote one option out of my truck. I didn't present three options most of the time. I coupled everything together and said, here's everything we talked about. Would you like to have this done today? Or, would you like me to get started? I rarely wrote up three actual options. I usually just wrote up everything we talked about and here's how we can get it done today. So that was effective for me. I know technicians who kill it with three options. We have a tech here who presents 5 options. But what do you think about the 6 options for yourself personally? Is so effective for you?
I think because we're going out of the box, right? So when we're talking about being a premium solution provider, we had kind of the story of the iPhones, right? It's making sure we don't pin ourselves down to one of the solutions. Let's say it's a big line sewer clog, and I don't know if we're looking at there's root intrusions in the front yard from the house to the curb, and then there's the additional pipe from the curb to the street. I don't know if you guys are responsible in your area. And then there's the piping underneath the house, right? There's either a crawl space or a basement, or raised foundation. I know Texas calls it pier and beam houses, different kind of terminology, but there's piping underneath the house, right? So option one is a premium solution. Like, what if we just remove it all, Mr. Jones? Again, it may be above and beyond, and most people are not taking it, but again, this is not our house. It's not our house, and it's not our buyer, and it's not our money at that point. So option 1 and 2 are generally pretty premium. Option 3 and 4 are the mid-range, are generally still a little bit more premium, but kind of getting down to the root. So let's say we just replace the yard line with either a pipe bursting, a liner, or hand excavation. And then the bottom are 2 spot repairs and some jetting, right? So there's always more than one way to fix everything, especially in plumbing. I think when we get down to it, most plumbers offer what's easiest for them, right? And again, we're trying to take that away, and you let me know what needs to be fixed, right? Or the aspect of it is when you do X amount of project and X amount of work, let's say they pick a lower tier option, but the cast iron, you don't know what the cast iron looks when it crumbles, when you dig it up and it crumbles towards the house. So what do we have to do? We have to go back at the table again and tell them, it's going to be more money, right? I didn't know. Well, I do it in a sense where we have everything built out just in case, and we just upgrade options at that point. Is that another sticker shock? Is that really asking them a whole bunch more and having to tell them, I messed up? Well, Mr. Jones, this is failing. This cast iron is crumbling when I'm trying to attach onto it outside the foundation. I already have the pricing pre-written for you. The pricing doesn't change. It'd be ideal for us to just upgrade options at this point. Do you think it's best for you? Long term, we warranty that. We could kind of band-aid it, kind of Jimmer connect onto it, and whenever happens again, you just let us know. Again, it's up to you, Mr. Jones. What do you think is best for your house?
I definitely like what you said about plumbers picking the option that's easiest for them, and I do mean me in this part. As you know, we're in southeast Pennsylvania here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and it's, I don't know, Nate, what is it, 25 degrees outside or something?
It's a little warmer today, but tomorrow they expect a high of 20 with winds in like the 40 miles an hour. So
yeah, there's a storm sitting off the East Coast over here that's wrecking us. And I know
that is not a high for anybody.
I know that as a tech working out in this stuff, that if there was an option of doing some work inside a mobile home and an option of doing some work under a mobile home, I know which way I'm pushing that client when it's 20 degrees and 40 mile an hour winds for sure.
Oh, 100%. I've been reluctant to ever have to deal with that. The company Zoom drains, I talked to one of the technicians this morning about a project that we started, and you're supposed to start this week and finish this week. And he's like, I haven't started because the ground is frozen. And so, and obviously, and a storm is coming, so we're going to start on Monday. And I was like, oh, like I've never had to, like growing up in Southern California, I've never had to deal with it. So I guess we're a little bit spoiled on the West Coast with the weather, 100%.
Yeah, and then just moving to Dallas, although I guess if you were there, what was that, 3 years ago, you would have had a pretty big snowstorm to deal with.
Oh, that was last year. Last year, the freeze. Everybody talks about it.
Oh, was it last year?
It was last year, yeah. So it was in March of last year where the freeze happened, and this area is just not ready for it. The pipes depths are really shallow. How like PVC and CPVC are popping in ceilings, and they had HVAC companies running plumbing leads. People didn't stop working for like 3-4 weeks straight. It was a nightmare. I know they had a hard time.
Yeah, we had one of our guests on that lives in Texas call it the snowpocalypse.
Yeah, they definitely had to do it. Hopefully it doesn't happen this year. It doesn't seem like it's going to get that cold this year, but had rolling blackouts. I came 6-7 months after, so still a little cleanup, but everybody was just traumatized from it. They were still talking about it.
So your training, where can people find your training? How does someone get a hold of you in terms of either where can someone find you just to give it a test, maybe like some YouTube videos or something, where can someone get a hold of you if they want to bring you out, if they want to get on the online training or maybe go see you?
So we're building it's fairly new. So the media is coming up, like the videos and stuff are coming up soon. They can find me. Obviously, you guys had Jason Walker. I'm pairing with him and the team. So Jason Walker, HVAC Masters, The Hustle. They can email me at dylan.moya@gmail.com or even call me. Text me, call me. My number is 949-436-1102. Ask questions. I'm here to help, right? I feel like, we're trying to make a real big movement on this plumbing thing that I feel that is just super underserved.
Yeah, I as a plumber, I appreciate it big time because, I mean, this morning, as you know, we had your episode booked for much earlier in the day. We had to push it back a bit because we had a trade school sign on to come and tour our shop. And I had, 7 groups of 3 young men who are in the trade school. They would come in 3 at a time and sit with me for 20 minutes and talk about what we do here. And I just know at this point, I'm just ready to have a conversation to explain to them why being a professional salesperson is not a bad thing. That's where we start.
Absolutely.
There's other people who are going to talk about the benefits of, the trades, and they're already in an HVAC, plumbing, electrical school. So they already know hopefully the benefits of the trades, or like me, they didn't have anything else. So they ended up in the trades. But what we start talking about is how getting better at communicating in general is a good thing. And I'm glad there is a, specific plumbing training person out there starting to make waves. I'm a big fan of what you do, and I'm very happy to have you on the show.
Oh, I appreciate it. You guys I've been listening to it, and you guys are putting out great content. Obviously, you guys having the plumbers, the electricians, you have HVAC, you have Al Levy, you guys have Tim Kenny and Tom Hopkins. Man, I've been on it the last couple of days, and you guys are doing great. And just exposure. A lot of these are plumbing specific or HVAC specific, and you guys are really opening the door for a huge anything in plumbing, because they just have to evolve, right? It's either Amazon or Toys R Us. Who do you want to be? The involvement in technology and everything is amazing.
All right. Appreciate the kind words, buddy. It was good having you on today. Great to talk to you. And as you're getting this thing up and rolling with J-Dub, we'd love to have both of you guys on maybe in a couple months once you get things put together fully, and we'll talk about the stuff that's online.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I thank you guys. I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry. It's an honor to be on your guys' show. I'm sure we'll talk soon. Maybe we'll come visit whenever I'm in, hopefully on a warmer time when I come visit that area.
We have opening right now. You're welcome to head over tomorrow. I'll meet you at the shop. Wear a coat, maybe some gloves.
I have never been that cold in my life. Then I was in Idaho last week, and this week it was pretty cold. But last week in New Jersey, like the temperatures are the same. The it says 26 or 30. But man, that 30 in New Jersey in the Northeast is bone chilling.
Yeah, it's different. Plus, there's a lot of wind. Yeah. That doesn't help.
Absolutely. But man, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and I'm excited for everything that you guys do for the industry.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dylan. It was great talking to you, and we will talk to you soon.
Great. Have a great day.
You too.
You might as well do the wrap.
Think about it.
Say it was a great call. Listen to Dylan. This was something I really appreciated. You're gonna have to do the waste no day part too.
What a great conversation with Dylan Moya. I hope certainly the plumbers in the industry, got as much out of that as I did. Great to talk to a like-minded person about plumbing and the kind of the way it should be done, which is absolutely the same in every home services industry. Taking care of the client, presenting options, giving them what they deserve in the home in terms of both our appearance and performance. Again, feel free to reach out to Dylan, talk about his training. Reach out to us here at wastenoday.com. Find us on Facebook, Brian Burton or Nate Minnick. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate the reviews, and let us know if there's something you haven't heard that you would like to hear. And as always, we challenge you to wake up every morning and waste no day.